Welcome to Conversational with Carrie Olsen, where we explore what it takes to build a voice acting career that's authentically yours. I'm your host, Carrie Olsen, voice actor and coach, and I'm here to help you transform your voice acting approach, both in the booth and beyond. Let's get conversational. Last time, we talked about the implementation gap, that space between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Today, we're going to shift our focus to something that might seem a little counterintuitive in a competitive industry. We're talking about how being distinctly you isn't just a feel-good concept, but an actual measurable competitive advantage in your voice acting business. Most voice actors think that there's this voiceover sound, and I get people asking a lot of times, do I have the right kind of voice for this? And that's the question they're asking. And when I'm talking with them, the question that I always end up answering isn't, is your voice right for this? It's, do you have the skills for this? And or are you willing to put in the work to acquire the skills for this? And when we're talking about voiceover skills, it's very much about being able to channel who you are and bring your unique self to your work than it is trying to fit yourself into a mold and sound like every other voice actor out there. There's a principle in marketing that says if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And so you can see how in all of the brands that you love, the products that you tend to buy, or even the commercials that you really like, those are targeted to you. And the companies who are putting those campaigns together, those ad campaigns, they are really just narrowing in on who their target audience is. And there's even this intentionality of, if you asked them, they could probably say that we're actually trying to get a negative reaction from some people because they're so intent on targeting their specific group that they do want to reach. And that principle of if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one is true not just in marketing, but it's true in your voiceover work. One of the first things that your coach will probably teach you if you get voiceover coaching is to talk to one person. You'll always hear the question in a coaching session, who are you talking to? And that idea of if you are talking to a generalized group in a voiceover session, let's say you're reading, find a script laying around here. So let's say you're reading a McDonald's commercial and the line is, when I'm running late, sometimes I'll swing by McDonald's for breakfast. All right, so you might say, well, I'm going to read that in a pretty way. And so you say, when I'm running late, sometimes I'll swing by McDonald's for breakfast. Great, you read it and it sounds fine. But how would that sound if you were talking to your brother? There's going to be some subtext that you and your brother have, depending on what your relationship is, that is going to show up if you're talking to your brother. So if it's your older brother and you're always trying to impress him, maybe you're embarrassed that you're running late for breakfast. And so that's going to change the way you read it, right? When I'm running late, sometimes I swing by McDonald's for breakfast. Or maybe you're trying to make him feel better about the fact that he runs late sometimes because you run late too, right? It's fine. When I'm running late, sometimes I swing by McDonald's for breakfast. So depending on who you're talking to, it's going to change the way that you read that script. It's going to add that subtext. And that is the unique element that is going to make your read stand out from everyone else who's just reading it conversationally. When I'm talking to students who are auditioning and they're worried that they don't want to take too big of risks in their auditions, right? So they have this idea that I could really lean into this specific emotion, but I don't know if that's what the client wants and I don't want to take that risk. What I always say is it's way more risky to read a script generically than it is to bring your own unique twist to it. So one of the things that I've noticed after working with hundreds of voice actors is that there's this interesting dilemma in our industry. The more we try to sound like everyone else, the less valuable we become. So if you think about it, if you sound just like every other voice talent, why would a client hire you specifically? This contradiction is becoming even more pronounced with the rise of AI voices. If your only value proposition is that you can read words clearly in a pleasant voice, I have some uncomfortable news. AI can already do that, and it's only getting better. But here's what AI can't replicate: your lived experience, your perspective, and how these elements influence your interpretation of a script. This is where your distinctive background becomes your business advantage. So let me share a specific example from my own career that illustrates how your unique background can drive real business results. Before I was a voice actor, I was an e-learning developer. I spent years creating online courses and understanding adult learning principles. When I transitioned to voice acting, I saw that there was this opportunity for me to leverage that past experience and bring it to this new realm that I was exploring. So I figured if most voice actors are reaching out to e-learning developers to try to book voiceover work as being outside of their industry, like here's the voiceover industry, here's the e-learning development industry, and let me reach out as an outsider, then I could make as my unique advantage the fact that I could be reaching out as an insider in the e-learning development world. And so I leveraged the fact that I know what it's like to create online courses and to try to create content that is going to be transformational for the people listening to it, and the importance of learner retention and storytelling, keeping the audio engaging. And that not only impacted my marketing in order to book that work, but it also impacted my delivery and the way that clients interacted with my work. I had a client very early on say that she actually really enjoys editing the audio that I send in. If you've ever edited anything long form, you know that it can get tedious really fast. And she had said that when she's editing audio, it's her job, right? It's like, oh, I have all this audio that I've got to sift through and listen to it to make sure it all matches up and, insert it into our program and all of that. So the biggest compliment was when she said, I'm enjoying editing your audio. When you send it in, I look forward to it and I feel like I'm learning something because I had that background in knowing the struggle or the pain point of e-learning developers that, they do get a lot of dry audio that gets sent in. And so I made it my mission to, when I record e-learning voiceover, to make it as engaging as possible. Now, as an actual business strategy, there was real ROI behind that. That relationship with that client led to multiple projects over a span of years and years. And because of the advantage that I bring to e-learning work, I feel comfortable charging rates higher than maybe what is the standard. And I've seen this play out in really fun ways with my students as well. Just one of the unexpected benefits of doing this is that you enjoy it more. So think about if you are creating your website and initially you think, well, I'm a professional voice actor, so this needs to look really professional. And so you've got, it looks really sleek. It looks nice and, maybe it's pretty, but it's generic, but that's okay, you're thinking, because you want it to look professional. Versus when you bring in your background and you get the okay that it's not only acceptable or okay to be yourself on your website, but it's actually an advantage. It's something that you should be doing because it'll help you to book more work. That feels refreshing. You can get behind that, right? Updating your website might seem like a hassle when you're just bringing in all of these generic elements, but when it's something that you're fired up about, then it becomes something really fun. And doing these, what would be maybe mundane tasks, start to feel like they're giving you energy, which is a nice added bonus. One student of mine is a bug doctor or an entomologist. That's the technical title that he has. And he hadn't incorporated that anywhere into his work. And I was like, what a unique job, what a unique background to have. And so we started brainstorming how that unique background as a bug specialist could come into his work as a voice actor. And some of the things that we came up with that were just really fun were, if you're a bug doctor, you pay attention to the small things. And so we were able to have a lot of themes around his brand that talk about paying attention to the details and valuing the little things, finding the little things that most people overlook, but that he is uniquely positioned to bring to life. So how do you transform your distinctive background into your own business advantage? Well, I've developed a simple 3-part approach that I call your Standout Strategy. Part 1 is expertise inventory. This involves simply listing your professional expertise, your personal experiences, and passionate interests that could potentially add value to voice acting clients. For example, if you've worked in healthcare, you have insider knowledge that could be invaluable for medical narration. If you're a parent, you have firsthand experience with how children respond to different communication styles, and that's crucial for children's content. I was an athlete in college. I played softball and ran cross country and track, and that gives me an authentic perspective when voicing athletic content. I can channel that competitive drive and understand the language and mindset in a way that others might not. Part 2 is client connection points. This is where you identify specific client types who would value your unique combination of experiences. For instance, with my e-learning background, I can connect with instructional designers, learning and development departments, and corporate training teams. These become my high-value target clients because I understand their world and can speak their language. If you're a former teacher, you might target educational publishers. If you have legal experience, law firms creating explanatory videos would be a natural fit. And then part 3 is value articulation. This is where you craft language that clearly communicates your unique value to these specific client segments. This isn't just about creating a clever tagline. It's about precisely articulating what makes you different and why that difference matters to specific clients. So let's break down how to implement this approach with specific steps. Step 1, complete a thorough expertise inventory. I've created a worksheet that guides you through this process, which you can download at carrieolsenvo.com/EP5 or by texting VOICE to 55444. And don't limit yourself to obviously relevant experiences. Sometimes your most valuable differentiator comes from an unexpected place. For example, the bug doctor. Step 2, research potential client connection points. And sometimes you can do this by looking for pain points. And these are things that you specifically know because you're already well-versed in that industry. For each area of expertise, identify specific industries, companies, or roles that would value this perspective or this insider knowledge that you have. These become your high-priority outreach targets. And then step 3 is to craft different value statements for different client segments. This is where many voice actors go wrong. They use the same generic marketing message for everyone. Remember, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. Instead, create tailored messaging for each client type. For example, when I'm connecting with e-learning developers, I might say, as a former instructional designer, I understand how pacing and emphasis impact knowledge retention. My voice acting isn't just about reading your script, it's about delivering your learning objectives effectively. But when speaking to commercial producers, I might emphasize different aspects of my background or what I can bring to that unique project. And then step 4, and this is super important, is to test and refine your messaging. Pay attention to which aspects of your background generate the most interest and engagement from potential clients, and then double down on what works. Now I can hear some potential concerns forming. You might be thinking, but Carrie, what if I don't have any special expertise or unique experiences? The thing is, everyone has unique perspectives formed by their experiences. It might not be obvious at first. That's why the structured approach is so important. Think about, would you rather be average at everything or exceptional in specific areas? I'm seeing a trend that says that right now, the quote-unquote trend is to not have a trend. It's to be yourself and to bring your unique perspective to whatever it is that you're doing. And with all of the things going on in our world, we're looking for connection, for human connection. And your specialization or what you bring that's unique, it doesn't even have to be based on your voice type. It can be based on your unique knowledge and perspective, your experiences. The beautiful irony is that by focusing on where you can create the most unique value, you often end up expanding your opportunities rather than limiting them. So here's my challenge to you. Complete the Standout Strategy worksheet this week. It will guide you through each step of the approach we discussed today. You can download it at carrieolsenvo.com/EP5 or by texting VOICE to 55444. Now, as you work through this process, I want you to identify at least 3 potential client segments where your unique background creates specific value. Then, craft customized value statements for each segment. If you need help with that, or if you have some questions around that or don't really know where to start, feel free to go to carrieolsenvo.com/EP5 and you can leave me a voice message there and I'll get back to you. As we wrap up today, I want to emphasize that being distinctly you as a business strategy isn't about being unprofessional, and it's not about inserting your personality where it doesn't belong. It's about recognizing that in a world increasingly populated by AI voices and voice actors who all sound alike, your unique human perspective is your most powerful differentiator. Your distinctive background isn't something to minimize or to hide. It's your greatest business asset. And remember, this isn't just feel-good advice. It's a strategic approach to standing out in a crowded marketplace. Now, I want to be careful not to say that you should exploit every experience you've ever had in your life. That's not at all what I'm saying. But once you do this inventory and you identify some experiences that are relevant to your voiceover business, those are things that you should think about bringing to the forefront rather than leaving them in the background. Next week, we'll explore the holistic voice actor, mind, body, and business. We'll talk about how physical and mental well-being impact your voice performance, and I'll share productivity systems that have helped me and my students create sustainable voice acting careers. Until then, I encourage you to start looking at your background and experiences not as irrelevant personal details, but as strategic business assets that can set you apart in meaningful ways. Thanks for being a part of the conversation today. I'm Carrie Olsen, and if you'd like to stay connected, text VOICE to 55444 for exclusive resources. Until next time, remember, your voice is unique. Your path should be too.